run the ball. Darius did a good job throwing the ball to different receivers. Defensively, guys got after it. The second half, kind of pitched a shutout in the second half. Was able to be effective in special teams as well by blocking a punt and then a scooping score, for that opportunity. So I think all three aspects together were demonstrated out there. Obviously, there's a lot of things we need to continue to keep working on game one, but I thought that the coaches and the players did a good job of bringing energy of playing the game, knowing the situations, and just just playing a really good football team. And Danny's a really good football coach, and know he's going to get those guys back on track. But I thought to be our first game home opener here at home, that was significant.
With the way the game went, you were able to play quite a few guys, especially there in the second half. In your first game with so many new guys, how helpful is that as you head down the road this season?
It's big time helpful, because then they've got in the game performance. There's no coach yelling on the field or yelling from the sideline. Their focus and attention is on the play at hand, the task at hand. And so when you have guys that we're going to need, football's a long season. There's always things that happen, and the next man up mentality is always critically important. So if that guy that's number 2 or number 3, if he's not paying attention, then he might be number 2 or could be number 1 as the season goes on. So it's important that the entire team, we're putting in schemes and talking about philosophies and things like that, particularly now that we're in the season, that they all they embrace that and they'd be ready to go when their number's called.
We've talked over the years quite a bit about Hollis Mathis and what a journey he's had and a career he's had, dealt with some injuries and battled back. You talked about you got him listed as an athlete now, and he kind of showed that. He scored a touchdown rushing, touchdown receiving, even completed a pass. Just talk about how pleased you were to see him having that kind of effort. And then as a coach, how do you figure out how to use that skill set best?
Yeah, Hollis did a great job. The epitome of what a team leader is, of a guy saying, "Coach, I just want to help the team win." And as you said, being able to catch, throw, run one in, that's the kind of individual that he is. And so we got a group of guys that are like that. I mean, I'm quite sure you could look, Bronson probably wanted more carries. Malachi probably wanted more carries. We could maybe Drayshawn Kendricks is a really good receiver, to get him the ball along with Harris and other people. So the big thing is just to find the opportunities to to utilize the skill set that these guys have. And on Thursday night, Hollis had a chance to make some big explosive plays. And I think that's one of the critical things. I think we did a really, really good job of making explosive runs and passes, over 15 yards. I think we were close to 20, from that standpoint. But when you have guys like Holly, Drayshawn, Darius, Yoder, Emo, when you have guys like that can do it and have demonstrated that performance in the game, then it's important. So, but we're going to need, as we go down the stretch, the things that happen in a game, or in a season, you're going to need as many guys as you have that can make those big plays.
One more, I just want to throw in the offense. You mentioned how well Darius played and how efficient, 11 of 15, 190 yards, a couple of touchdowns. Your running game, I think you knew was a known factor, but you talked when we talked last week about trying to make strides in the passing game. How did you feel like that went in week one?
Definitely. I thought Darius did a really good job of managing the game, of making the throws. He had a couple scrambles, a couple runs himself, and just understanding that, some teams, if they're going to put an extra safety down, that, we're going to have to win on the edge, on the perimeter. And that's going to be critical for us. But the running game part of it, when you have two running backs, whether it's Bronson or Malachi, and even Martin Lucas did a great job coming in the game later on. But when the quarterback can run as well, then it creates elements where we have to defend, the perimeter, inside runs and things like that. So as good as Darius is, he'll make us as good of a team that we can be. And that's kind of one of the important things about being productive on offense.
Question from John O'Connor. Go ahead, John.
Rob, I'm sure you're going to get to this eventually, but I'd like to ask about Coastal Carolina and what caught your eye last week. They really did an offensive number on Jacksonville State. What do you see when you look at that? It's a very impressive statistical performance.
Yeah, John, that's a very, very good football team. Coach Beck has done a really good job there. highly athletic. They play with a lot of emotion and enthusiasm. It's going to be their first home game, I believe. The quarterback is athletic. They've got 2, 3 running backs that have demonstrated performance in games. The wide receivers are electric. So I mean, they're a really good, fast, athletic football team. And so we got a lot of work cut out for us, and got to make sure that we bring our A game, because they showed that they are a good football team. And actually, you saw them on tape making explosive plays, big hits, sacks, turnovers, all those things like that. So very good football team. And our first game, we're traveling out there and on the road here. So we'll be ready and have to be ready. There's no other choice. But we'll accept the challenge.
Hey, Mike, has your approach changed in your message to your FCS players when you hit these kind of games annually?
The mindset, we talk about different things, John, you know me for a while. I mean, the whole David and Goliath type thing. You just never know. I've been on the side of, having those opportunities, taking an FCS team and playing an FBS opponent. And so the mindset, things got to go right for you. But we're in there to play a football game. The environment's going to be loud. The distractions are going to be there, but their field is 100 yards from goal line to goal line like ours is. And so focusing on the things that can cause us to get more explosive plays, to hang on to the football, to create turnovers, to play well that on defense. Those are going to be things. And then the special teams part of it, I think, is going to be critical as well when you're playing games like this.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, John.
Mike, just to build on that a little bit, you have had some success beating FBS teams. Has there been any one sort of common theme to those wins that you've been able to knock those teams off?
Well, I mean, being willing to just lay it all on the line. I mean, just everything is an option, in terms of what we can do, what we want to do, how we can do things. And so, when you go in with the mindset that, just let it roll, let's go. And I think that's part of it. I mean, you always, as a coach, you talk about, the players not being recruited at that level, although you believe you have players that could play at that level for sure. But the mindset of they didn't want you, or, just you try to play, you try to talk to the things that, that FBS versus FCS, that teams talk about, or when you're recruiting. But a win is a win. We experienced one, when we went down to Charlotte. And it's just one of those things that it's another mindset lift as well. It changes a trajectory a lot of times of where you are and how you see yourself. But for us, we got to do better coming out of the game in VMI and correct those things that are going to help us, because this is a very good football team. They're fast, they're athletic, as I said, and we got to take care of the controllables, and that's the stuff that we do.
Before I let you go, we've talked a lot about the offense, but I want to touch a little bit about the defense. You had quite a few new starters on the side of the ball. You hold VMI to 241 yards, only the one field goal. What impressed you about your defensive effort?
We talked about last time about not having those names, but at the same time, a group of guys that have played in college football games. And I thought defensively, we did well. I mean, I believe they were like 5 for 13 on third downs. We had 2 4th down stops. The second half, we hold them, with no points. And Ty Gordon, transfer defensive lineman from Syracuse, was our defensive player of the week. And so, all those things that you add up to having the elements of offense playing well, ground control, explosive plays, special teams, and where we get the ball, where they get the ball, the block punt, that was critical. And then defense, playing good defense in the third down situations, 2 4th down stops, playing a bunch of guys that played last year that we're going to count on being those household names again this year. So that's game one. Now we got to see how much we've improved or can improve with an FBS opponent for game 2.
All right, Mike, thanks so much for the time this afternoon. Safe travels to Conway, and we'll talk again next week.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right.